Get started. We will call the Wednesday FARGODOME Authority meeting to order. You have the agenda in front of you. Are there any additions to make to the agenda?
Move to approve.
We got a first by Rick,
Second.
second by Blake. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, you have the minutes in front of you. All right, if there are no corrections, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Got a first by Dave, second by Nancy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there any old business to bring in front of the authority? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to new business and general manager's report. Rob.
All right, thank you. Obviously, since with the early time frame, there are no financials for November. So those are still being completed. So really all it is just to go over past events, and it's only been 2 weeks since our last meeting, or in a day I guess. But so our last meeting, we were in the middle of the North Dakota Agricultural Association show. That ran through Thursday, and that last week November, first week of December is always the interesting time here, as they moved out, ended their show about 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. Got their things moved out as the Health Tech Trades Career Fair started moving in and redoing the floor Wednesday at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Stayed here for a little bit, and then back at 5 o'clock Thursday morning for vendor load-in, and that show happens from 8:30 to 2. A lot of schools came through, or at least I signed a lot of things for schools that they make them participating schools sign. But it was, I mean, obviously all the metro, but it was even I think I saw Turtle Mountain in there. I mean, there were schools that were much further than 90 miles that had at least initially committed to it. Whether they came through or not, I don't know. So good attendance at that. They moved out 3 o'clock Thursday afternoon, and those that were able kind of pitched in with operations and cleared the floor and started getting out the football turf, which then got out Thursday night and prepared for Friday NCAA activities, and then the second round football game versus University of Montana on Saturday the 3rd. Obviously NDSU won. Might have been a little secret you heard. Then rolled right into last week on the Friday night. So it was the first time we've had the quarterfinal on a Friday night at 6 p.m. versus Samford. Another win, and we are now preparing again for NDSU's semifinal game, which is 11 years in a row, or 12. They run together. Of the 3 games, and they'll be hosting Incarnate Word. So for those of you who remember, Incarnate Word was the football team that was here for the second ESPN Game Day appearance. I will guarantee that this team's a little different from what I've heard.
Are they in town yet?
No, they are scheduled to arrive tomorrow.
Okay.
So we will see what happens there. But yeah, we are busily preparing. Obviously, this heavy wet snow is not easy, so they have been at the parking lots. They did it a lot yesterday morning, or yesterday during the day, and we're back at I think 5 a.m., 4 a.m. this morning, and almost have the 2 east side lots done. It's so heavy to push, so it's going pretty slow. I think they'll be working on the south lot either today, or then we'll hit it tomorrow. But with this new snow that I just saw is supposed to come tomorrow too, so it will be a challenge to get everything removed. We got a body and every piece of our equipment, so they're doing the best they can.
Definitely snowman snow.
And working through it. So, any questions on past events from the board? Okay, moving forward then, as we talked, or as I just mentioned, this Friday, 6 p.m. game, 4:30 doors against Incarnate Word. Always an interesting time in North Fargo. If you have any business in North Fargo, get it done early. Hopefully we'll see you at the football game, but if for some reason you're not at the football game and you're not going to NDSU's commencement ceremonies, you really shouldn't be in North Fargo. It's going to be very hectic, I think, with the The tailgating opening at 12:30. The first ceremony's at 1, I believe, at the Shack. Doors open at 4:30 for public. The second ceremony starts at 5 over at the Shack, and then the football game at 6. So the good thing is this year, with it being a 5 o'clock and a 6 o'clock, if there is a silver lining, the 5 p.m. ceremony people won't be trying to leave while the football game fans are coming in. They're all coming in at the same time. So work it through and do it the best we can, get scheduled as best we can. These Friday games are always a challenge. Last week was a challenge. Our team here was phenomenal in moving things around, getting things figured out, and making it happen. And they're going through the same efforts this week, and only hampered by a 3-day snowstorm. So it's all good. This too shall pass. We get the following week off, the week of 19th off. Obviously, we'll be closed for Christmas on Monday the 26th, and Rumble on the Red will then move in on Wednesday the 28th with their annual tournament, their varsity JV tournament on Thursday, Friday the 29th and 30th, and their youth tournament on Saturday the 31st. First weekend in January will be quiet here, hopefully. And then Fight the Frost comes back, a new ownership with Games Galore, but that's been gone for a while with everything going on, but he decided he wanted to bring it back. And Bernie and Sarah in our office thought, okay, we'll work this out. So they're working it out and having the event that's Martin Luther King weekend. Then spring is on its way, because we'll go right into the boat show and start getting ready for Monster Jam. So before we know it, we'll be thinking spring, and our next meeting will be on January 31st. Any questions, comments, past events, upcoming events? Obviously, it has been busy here. Sarah and Morgan and Colleen and Alex and, well, everybody has been very busy the last 2 weeks getting a lot of on sales up and ready to go. So we've got Red Hot Chili Peppers now up and on sale, Pink up and on sale, Shania Twain and Def Leppard Motley Crue are both announced and in pre-sales right now, and they will both go on sale to the public. Def Leppard Motley Crue 10 a.m. Friday, Shania 11 a.m. Friday. Thankfully, 99.72% of the sales are online, so it'll be a busy day moving forward with that, and as we continue to try to figure out some shows.
So 4 announced already. Still go for the 6, or could it be?
Well, we have
more or
Parker
less?
Cullum already up and on. It's been announced for a while in February 11th.
So it's 5.
Country artist, and then we've got those 4 as we still try to work for more. We got a couple that have confirmed dates 2 different times in 23 and then moved, so it's still
Fluid.
hey, I forgot we had to move this weekend in 2020 or 21 or 22, and this is the only time we can get back to that part, so we got to move your date. So it's all moving around, but honestly, we're running out of weekends. We're running out of dates. So
Nice.
5 on the books.
if there are no other questions, I would conclude my report that I tried to make as long as possible.
One, just actually,
Nice job, you did 7 minutes, right?
are all those Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pink, Shania Twain, Motley Crue, are those full house?
North Edge Stage.
Okay.
Set up full house.
Full house.
Pink, Def Leppard, Motley Crue. Def Leppard, Motley Crue were the only indoor date. They're only playing 9. They did their main world tour last year.
Their final fair.
You know, we've been final touring since
Second
14.
final, third
So,
Just like Gil.
so I think there's 9 or 10 U.S. dates, but they're all mostly outdoor stadiums or indoor football, and then they're coming in here. Pink is doing mostly football, baseball stadiums. Red Hot Chili Peppers are coming off a very successful outdoor stadium tour, doing a combination of indoor outdoor. So yeah, it's
Okay.
so yeah, they're all full house, and the ones that are up are selling quite well. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
All right, there were no committee reports, so we'll go to item number 4, insurance renewals. Ben and Ryan.
Ben and Ryan show.
Yes.
Are you here today? They're going to sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer first.
You didn't want it?
All right, I don't know that one, but we can start there.
I'll get his memory.
Thank you, Mike. Yeah, well, thank you for having us back, of course. Just to kind of recap where we left things off last time, you know, we had presented an indication from the property carrier, Zurich, that we had received and shared with Susan, which was roughly 6% on rate, about 2.5% increase on the value over last year. And it was decided at that time we would pursue some additional options on the property and proceed with the renewals on the other coverages as they were proposed. So we did do that, and we had several different carriers deploy loss control representatives to the FARGODOME to do a facility inspection and walkthrough. I didn't make a comment on here that's literally a quote from one of them, but everyone that walked through here was very impressed with the facility, with the management and the housekeeping of the facility. So very positive feedback in that regard. So Zurich, their indication and formal number was roughly 237. You'll see I put their presented number, which is their revised number, up at the top there, which is 220,000. So they actually came back with a reduction of roughly 17,000 in premium off their initial number. So very positive from them. No changes in the terms that they presented. Big highlight again is the $25 million flood limit. I think as you'll see as we go down this, that really is one of the main concerns that some of the other carriers could not get comfortable with. And when we talk about flood being important, of course, it's more realistically a flash flood type event rather than overland flooding. But Travelers was one of the carriers right below them that we, had engaged right away, and they were very interested and gave us every indication that they would have no problem putting up the full $25 million flood limit. They did not follow through with that. Apparently somebody at home office was not comfortable offering the full $25 million limit, so they actually got very competitive on the property and excluded the flood coverage. So their proposal is about $131,000 without flood. So in order to buy flood coverage, you've got to look for that separately. And so we went to a number of different brokers on that, and we still have not seen a formal number. The initial indication we got was, for $25 million was roughly $80,000 to $100,000 in additional premium, which at that number is still, when you add those together, that's still a feasible number. We just heard back from them that it's going to be well over 100, and we still, like I said, don't have formal terms on it. So I think it's an interesting turnout on that, and another broker actually indicated it'd be roughly $240,000. Which is more than Zurich's entire program, right? So, worth pointing out, CNA, again, a carrier that was very interested, but they're looking for a 1% to 3% wind and hail deductible. 1% on our values, just over $2 million for a wind or hail related loss. So, we have a $100,000 deductible with Zurich right now. Liberty, again, could not offer flood. Everest, actually, we were talking to today, and they were another carrier that did do a loss control inspection recently, and they are still indicating that they have no problem with the flood limit, and they've asked for another week extension in order to provide formal terms. Their indication is similar to Zurich. It's a little bit lower than that. So again, we don't have formal terms from them, and they did not meet our deadline. So we're not planning to pursue that unless it would be the board's choice to continue pursuing. QBE, not competitive, Swiss Re, 3% on the flood deductible. They've been competitive in the past on this specific property, but we're looking at basically a $6 million deductible on the flood, which is probably the primary exposure layer anyways in terms of the numbers. So again, not a very feasible option. A few of these down here could not offer the limit or could not offer the terms and conditions that Zurich is offering. So in summary, I mean, our recommendation this year on the property is to stay with Zurich and continue, you know, the relationship that the FARGODOME has built with them over these last 4 years. So I'll stop there. We do have a summary of kind of the premiums and how those look, you know, compared to last year and the indications. But does anyone have questions about the marketing or the responses from the various carriers?
Well done.
The good news is that there's additional interest in the marketplace, which gives us a level of comfort in that, one, I mean, we feel that we've got a great trading partner with Zurich on this particular risk. But as we all know, the market shifts and changes and appetites shift and change, and to know that we've got other players that have interest in you know, a travelers that comes out that offers at a relatively low number without the flood. I mean, it's something that we can work with in the future. And so if for some reason that Zurich wasn't able to come to play and offer competitive terms, the marketplace seems open enough to where we'll be able to put together a good program to replace it if need be.
FARGODOME team good with that decision?
Yeah,
Happy
you know,
with Zurich?
I mean, obviously, you wonder what that other one is, but they didn't meet the deadline,
Right.
and I don't know if Zurich put a deadline on the acceptance of theirs, so I think with the relationships, probably,
I think you have to meet the deadline.
I think it's probably a good move to stay with Zurich, I would say.
There were several carriers that, you know, in this process we did start, you know, less than 30 days ago, right? So pretty impressive to have several carriers deploy loss control representatives and show serious interest and come out here. I think if, you know, this is something that, you know, process we go through again in the future, we start 90 days to 120 days out on it. And I think we'll have more carriers offer actual terms. And we expect them to meet the deadline at that point. So, like Brian said, it's a positive sign that there's significant interest out there in the facility.
All right, well, then we would need a motion to accept somebody for their property insurance, correct?
I'd make a motion to accept Zurich.
So we have a motion by Troy to accept Zurich for their property insurance for 2023.
Second.
Got a second by Rick. Any further questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Nancy?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Troy?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. All right, thank you guys for that.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, since we didn't have any additional items.
Mr. Chair, I got one.
Oh, you do have one, all right.
From NDSU Athletics last week, wanted to thank staff for all the work. We had staff working beer carts that probably shouldn't be working beer carts, but appreciate all that
Not
effort.
because they're not trained properly,
Right, but
Susan apparently secretly was asked that Susan doesn't get to pour beer. Oh no, it was a can pour.
so
So
above and
okay.
beyond what they already do on a daily basis from NDSU Athletics, wanted to thank.
Yeah, so last week
staff for the hard
Susan
work.
was working on the west side in the popcorn cart, I think.
Yes.
And then Amanda and Sarah and Morgan and a couple other happily recruited people, and from conversations, a couple other not so happily voluntold spouses were also there helping out to get a
And the
concession
rumor was
stand open.
Rob was on standby for Prep Kitchen, but they never called him in.
I was down handling the Arts for the Holiday show at the Civic Center, and we were overrun, and I needed to stay there far longer than I thought because it was just so busy down there. Because I knew that if I came up here, I'd have to wrap hot dogs. So the timing worked out well.
Okay.
Rob, we need you. I'm making gingerbread houses.
I'm breaking up.
But so
All
thank
right.
you for that, yes.
Yeah.
And then also just, not an additional item, but an FYI, I think just actually right before this meeting, Amanda sent out the calendar for building finance and authority meetings for 2023. I was going through my inbox today and realized that I'd hit the past 7 day that I hadn't responded to her yet, so I broke the 24-hour rule. But so next meeting will be the 31st of January and moving forward on that.
Okay. Anything else? All right, if not, we're adjourned.